Hello, hello, and welcome back to Podcasting Problem Solver. I'm Leah Bryant, podcast producer, launch strategist, and founder of Leah Bryant Co., where we help entrepreneurs launch and grow podcasts that actually support their business goals without the burnout, the tech stress, or what the heck am I doing spiral. And if you've ever thought, I've got a podcast, something feels off, or maybe you're still in the planning phase, but want to avoid some common traps, today's episode is just for you because I'm pulling back the curtain on the biggest podcasting do's and don'ts, the stuff no one warns you about until you're knee-deep in downloads and wondering why your show isn't growing. These aren't surface-level tips like, get a mic or be consistent. That'll come later, but that's not what this episode is. I'm talking about the strategy-level stuff that can make or break your podcast's long-term success. And the first one is, don't pick a clever podcast name with zero search value. When I first started producing podcasts, I'm not going to lie, I made this mistake. I had a client, we wanted to make their show name cute. That meant nothing to their audience or the algorithm. People couldn't find it at all. But what I do want you to do is I want you to choose a name that clearly tells people what the show is about. Because remember, clarity is greater than creativity. And if you want to get clever, then you can absolutely do that. Save it for your episode. Okay. Number 2, don't record your episodes on the fly with no plan. I will talk about this topic until I am blue in the face. Because sure, winging it sounds so easy. But what it actually creates is a rambling mess that loses listeners fast. So what do? You outline your episodes, even if you're not scripting them word for word. Structure builds trust. It shows your listeners you value their time, and it helps you stay on message, especially if you're using your podcast to drive leads or sales. Okay, the next one is do not ignore SEO or titling your episodes. If your episodes titles are vague, cute, or mysterious, you're making it hard for people and, quite honestly, the platforms to find your content. So what I want you to do is use clear, keyword-rich titles. So your episode titles should act like a headline, telling people exactly what they'll learn. Think how to grow a podcast without paid ads, not the thing that finally worked. Do you see how that works there? Next step is, please don't talk to everyone. I actually did this when I started my business. I talked to everybody and wanted to help every single podcaster in the world. That doesn't really help anyone, does it? So a podcast that's for all entrepreneurs usually, like I said, helps none of them. So what I want you to do is I want you to get super specific about who your podcast serves. You'll attract more listeners and benefit clients when your content speaks directly to their stage, struggles, and goals. And that's where the A in seamless comes in, attraction. It really shines. Next up, please don't underestimate the power of your call to action. Because if your episodes end with, thanks for listening, bye, you're leaving listeners in the dark about what to do next. People actually like to be asked. So what I want you to do is guide them to something valuable. Invite them to grab a resource or join your list or send a question. Speaking of, did you know you can submit yours? The link is in the show description. See how that works? Okay, so now let's flip this script. Here are the habits and strategies that do build long-term momentum, aka the M in seamless. What I want you to do is do batch record your episodes. When you're not constantly chasing your next recording day, podcasting feels way less overwhelming, and you'll show up with more energy and clarity. I want you to create a repeatable workflow. Whether it's just for you or you've got a team, having a checklist for each episode, record, edit, upload, write show notes, schedule your promos, it saves your time and reduces errors. LBC is big fans of systems over stress around here. We use ClickUp to manage all of our podcasts. I want you to use your podcast to reinforce your core sales message. So every episode is a chance to showcase your philosophy, your framework, and the kinds of problems you solve for clients. It's not just creating content, you're creating trust. I want you to give listeners a reason to come back, tease what's coming up next, reference past episodes, build narrative threads, and shared language so your audience feels like insiders. I want you to stay flexible, but stay consistent. You don't need to publish every Tuesday for the rest of your life, but if you're consistent with quality and intention, your audience is going to stick with you. So I like to share real stories in all my episodes because I want you to see how things work in action. And I'll share one now. So one of my clients had a great show, solid interviews, beautiful audio, strong topics, but her downloads had plateaued. So I did a full audit and realized her show didn't clearly speak to her ideal clients. She was speaking to everyone. It was too broad, too safe, too focused on guests and not her own authority. So we niched down her messaging, repositioned her as the expert, and rebuilt the show around her unique framework. And you know what? The result? New clients, higher retention, and a real podcast-powered funnel. It's really amazing what can happen when you're intentional. So here's the deal. Podcasting isn't just about pressing record and hoping for the best. It's about being strategic, showing up with intention, and building something that lasts. So if you're planning your launch, or maybe you're tweaking your current show, use this episode as your blueprint. And if you want to walk through these steps with a little more hand-holding, check out the show notes in the episode description for a link to my podcast launch roadmap with Private Podcast. It breaks everything down into bite-sized steps so you can launch with confidence. And if you want behind-the-scenes tips, gear recommendations, and strategies delivered weekly, don't forget to join my newsletter. It's free. The link is also below. Until next time, keep it strategic, keep it simple, and above all else, keep it seamless. We'll catch you next time.